What's good, y'all? Welcome back to West City. Before we get started, I need y'all to do me a quick favor. Hit that like and subscribe for your boy. Play with your boy. I truly appreciate y'all's support. Now let's get into the story.
Molly was bracking, bro. Hope all is well. Right on, bro. Keep your head up in there, man. You'll bounce right back in no time, man. Hope all is well in there, and hope everything goes smooth with that shit.
Why haven't you learned anything?
Some choices are just harder than others. A lot harder. Yeah. I was only 16, fighting a murder. Try this in a dope, life's disturbing. Waiting on someone to throw a life preserver. Didn't get a life sentence, but I might deserve it. Wasn't really big on. One of the main reasons I wanted to touch on this topic in this conversation is because I want, if there is any youngsters out here that watch us and tune into our message, I want them to know, like, learn the importance of learning from other people's mistakes and how much that could put you on a positive trajectory on your life. Like
The now 45-year-old Pittsburgh, and I'm talking Cali, not Pennsylvania, and Seattle native known as Awax basically grew up like most kids in the hood, just playing sports, video games, and listening to their favorite rappers. But as years went by though, the small San Francisco suburb of Pittsburgh suddenly became plagued with the same problems of any other major city. Drive-bys and drug deals sadly replaced football games and school dances, as the young Awax became intrigued with the street life, with all the fast cars and jewelry and slewy by natures, and soon started having run-ins with the law. This caused Awax to make a bad decision in life and drop out of school in 8th grade. Damn, Wax, you dropped out of school in 8th grade? And they think, this nigga's rich now. Anyhow, Awax basically came from a broken home. His mother and father parted ways when he was still a kid. His father's hate towards his mother caused his father to wig out and try to hire one of their family members to kill his mother, a family member who was on the run and on the FBI's most wanted list. Once upon a grimy times in his early teen years, Awax got chased by the Pittsburgh police. He threw his dope sack and got away. At least he thought he got away, though soon after, the police came to his house and was granted access to his bedroom by his father, who had other illegal stuff in his house, so he figured, I'll just let him in little Awax's room, where the scandalous Pittsburgh police would plant the same dope sack in his room that Awax had thrown while getting away from the boys earlier that day. After being charged, the judge gave Awax an option to either serve time in the juvenile halls or get your ass up out of state.
Go sit down for shit. So I was like, I got family up in Washington State. Send me up towards Seattle. I'm gonna take my first flight to SeaTac. Let's get it.
While the Bay Area pretty much missed the migration of the LA Crips and Bloods in the 1980s, Seattle, Washington got hit hard. Yeah, beautiful old Seattle, Washington. Well, control of the turfs and the city's fast-growing drug trade was one of the misled priorities of the Bloods and Crips, and recruitment was at an all-time high. Awax got drawn into the gang lifestyle and started banging Elm Street PIRU, a notorious PIRU set out of Compton, California, and also in the Pacific Northwest, and known enemies of the Crips, the nation's largest gang. Awax became respected amongst his fellow Elm Street PIRUs, the same Elm Street PIRUs out of Seattle, Washington, that had a close relationship with the California Compton Elm Streets, who migrated to Seattle, Washington, specifically in the Central District of Seattle during the 80s and 90s, where large numbers of the Seattle Elm Streets and California Elm Streets became allies with all other Central District hoods. But after Awax would get caught up in the Seattle gangbanging scene, his life would be consumed by the gang warfare on a fateful night in Tacoma, Washington, where he would also live in the Tillicombe area in the Woodbrick neighborhood. He got caught up and charged with the murder of a Crip that landed him in Walla Walla State Prison for 5 years for manslaughter. At 16 years old, being charged with murder, Wax went from street thug to convict, and there was no turning back. Though prison became a crucible for change, while locked up, Wax discovered a passion for rapping. He started writing lyrics and songs and quickly gained respect within the prison community. Other inmates sought his help to refine their craft with their own music within the prison studios, and it was in this environment that Awax began to realize that music was a way out of the street life. At one point in prison, Awax would be in the prison yard when he would see his old middle school classmates pass by into the prison on a Scare Straight program. This tripped Wax out and motivated him to take his music even more serious, knowing he had to make something out of himself when he would leave prison. After being released from prison in 2001, Awax made a decision to move back to Pittsburgh, where he dove headfirst into his music career. His first album, Savage Times, released in 2001, captured the raw energy and truth of his experiences, quickly establishing him as a respected underground artist. His gritty style resonated with fans, particularly on the West Coast, where he found a loyal following. Despite his growing popularity, mainstream success remained elusive. Awax was unbothered though, knowing that he was growing a loyal fan base. He believed that in due time, the world would catch up to him. One of the most pivotal moments in Awax's career came when he met Woody, a rapper from Antioch, California. Woody's influence was profound, guiding Awax through the business side of the music. They became close friends, and Woody's mentorship helped Awax refine his artistry. Awax would speak on the first time ever meeting Woody.
Couple bitches in the room and about 15 gang members with red bandanas and Ben Davis and Dickie suits, and I was like, all right, this is some hood shit. And there's a big ass white pit bull just roaming through the hotel room. No leash, no nothing, just walking up to people and it looked like a cold killer. Got a big spiked collar on the motherfucker. And way in the back of the suite, sitting in a chair, Woody's way back there.
Awax would recall how different Woody was, to the point that Awax at first didn't pick up on Woody's rap delivery. Instead, Awax described Woody's flow as a more conscious gangster flow, where Woody touched on more serious subjects and issues going on in his community amongst his city and peers.
Blatantly, I'll make you see this world for what it is. Many turn a blind eye by shooting, smack up, popping this, while they always talking pigs, prematurely cocking sticks for the slightest disturbance of the peace. They sucking kids in the face, police catching no case, but let a little homie regulating prisons embrace. Consider waste by the upper class like it's something double tax. Every time we make to pay for our trouble past that they help.
Woody was a Norteño from Antioch, California, from West 20 Norteños. Awax already had close ties to the Norteños from growing up around and with Norteños. But Woody was not just a rapper, but a producer as well. Woody did everything when it came to making his own music, as well as producing other artists' music that were associated with Woody's East Coco records. Even though Woody and Awax were well focused on evolving with their music and in the music industry, they both were still caught up in the street life and their loyalty to both of their sets. Woody would get caught up in a violent gang war that had been going on for some time between Woody's West 20, also known as West Swamp Norteños Hood, and the MLT Serranos of Antioch. Eventually, the beef would lead to lives lost, and one of Woody's fellow Norteños would end up getting charged with and convicted for a murder that allegedly some believed Woody had committed. This led to most likely wrongfully convicting a fellow Norteño by the name of Gabriel Snoop Roberson, as witnesses would wrongfully point out Gabriel as a suspect in the murder, since he somewhat resembled the liking of another Norteño. Some say Woody had became depressed from the conviction of his friend, and on March 7, 2007, Woody would commit suicide, though others would not believe that Woody had committed suicide from depression and feel that something else more sinister may have took place. Nonetheless, the Antioch Norteños would lose 3 very respected and loved members to the street war the Norteños were facing. One to the California prison system, Gabriel Snoop Roberson, another well-respected member by the name of Blackbird in a standoff with Antioch police, and Woody to an alleged suicide. Woody's death had a lasting impact on Awax, who often spoke of him as an older brother and key figure in his life.
Free Snoop, East Coco forever. There's some things I never spoke on. Woody left with Will. Damn, even thinking about this shit give me chills. Made a video on 8 moments before he did it. Everything that Snoop was in jail for, he admitted. Went into detail about it, but Jody hit it. All these years later, his homie still stuck in prison. Wow. Damn, that shit foul. Damn, that shit foul.
But Awax would continue to put out new music and projects come the early 2000s. One of these very notable projects would be Awax's 2002 album called 65 G's in a Jordan Briefcase.
I went back to the past with 3, caught funk. Yeah, smother the goon. Turn the music up loud, let it cover the boom. Go discover the moon, go explore the flames. I was more than doomed, it was more than pain. It was rain, sunshine, 1 bullet, 1 9, 1 motherfucker. You done, motherfucker.
I remember me and my partner asked Awax back in 2003 what was actually the meaning behind his title of his album, 65 G's in a Jordan Briefcase. Since it didn't really all the way make sense, his album cover, the title, was filthy clearly, but you could kind of tell there was a story behind it. And basically, Wax would tell me that he was fronting some things, and instead of paying the bill on the note, he would just save the profit and keep it for himself for a rainy day, which made sense. Anyhow, back to the True Glory story. Awax kept his personal ties and friendships in Seattle. One of these friendships would be with the well-connected Central District of Seattle and Vallejo native known by the name of Kevy Kev, who is cousins to E40 and Jay Prince. Kevy Kev played an instrumental part in Awax's album Savage Times, and 65 G's in a Jordan briefcase being directly introduced to the Central District of Seattle. And even though Wax would have strong roots and friendships in Seattle, with his constant grind and moving around, any promotional help would only continue to grow his reputation as the up-and-coming artist he was becoming. Now, one thing that Wax would be good at is networking with other cities and hoods. One of these connections would be with the legendary West Coast rap group, the Mob Figures, that consisted of 5 members, the Jacka, Roddy J. Clyde, FedEx, AP9, and Hustler. Awax made music with a few of the group members, but mainly Roddy J. Clyde. But soon, Awax would have a fallout with Mob Figures member Hustler. The dispute stemmed from allegations of disloyalty and questionable actions after the Mob Figures member Hustler got caught with 10 birds while driving back to Cali from Chicago and only doing 4 years in the feds. Awax and other Bay Area individuals became suspicious of the 4-year lenient sentence, which Awax would say later, a convicted felon caught with 10 birds would do at least 10 years. And over time, even recently this year, paperwork would also be brought to light that Awax and Oakland rapper DNI Mike would also speak on.
To get the safety valve, you have to debrief, which means you have to sit down and tell them everything about what you're being charged with and everybody involved in it. So let's say if there was 10, 15 people involved in every aspect of the case from front to back, you got to tell them all the information you know on that 10, 15 people, and if they find you in one lie, then you out.
Awax's brutally honest character explained his frustrations with Hustler in a song titled Rap Poison.
I get busted, gotta sit in the box. He gets busted and gets hired by the hip-hop cops. Everyone I'm running with start going to jail. Not forgetting talking keys, but for talking on sales. People on the run who get caught don't get bail. They get caught a flight risk and denied their mail. Rat, what you thought? Did no one going to trial? Thus keeping your government name from going in files would mean that no one could prove you're the rat you are.
To this day, Awax and other Bay Area individuals stand firm on their knowledge of Hustler telling. As Awax's career progressed, so did his reputation. Over time, some in California began to label him a bully, often pointing to his numerous run-ins with other artists and individuals from both the Bay Area and Los Angeles. Despite these tensions and the drama that often accompanied his name, Awax chose not to dwell in the negativity that sometimes swirled around the industry. While others were focused on sparring in the streets or on social media, Awax began to turn his attention fully to his craft. As he veered away from the negativity, Awax began to garner more respect, not for his battles he fought outside the studio, but for the undeniable impact he was making in his music. His journey proved that even in the industry often fueled by conflict, the true power lies in the ability to rise above and remain focused on what truly matters, crafting music that lasts. In today's era of music, longevity has become more achievable than ever. Many artists are successfully making music well into their 40s and 50s. Awax is a prime example of this shift. While many of his peers might have faded into obscurity, he has continued to push forward, adapting and growing with the ever-changing music scene. He embraced the new era of streaming, social media, and digital collaborations, which helped extend his career and connect him with both new fans and the old ones who followed him since the beginning. Awax would even put on many artists to his PIRU label. One of these artists would be the Chicago native rapper, EBE Bands.
Dog, I done been through pain that you probably can't imagine. These bitches left me just as soon as the bag did. My hood crazy bodies dropping more than Baghdad. And you can check my resume if you ain't already had. I was sliding with the chopper cause I'm already mad. When I got the phone call like what he did. How the fuck he just recovered taking one to the head. But he put his body in between the cover of his kid. You can talk about my color but it don't mean none. I was struggling with my brothers when we ain't have a crew.
EBE Bands was a Chicago white boy drill rapper, but was definitely a different type of white boy who could really spit. Awax and EBE Bands formed a powerful musical partnership, working together on numerous projects and songs. Recognizing the potential in EBE Bands and seeing his career on the rise, Awax extended an invitation for him to leave Chicago and join him in California. It was more than just a collaborative effort. Awax wanted to help elevate EBE Band's music career to new heights. So, by moving to California, EBE bands would have the opportunity to immerse himself in a different environment, one that offered more resources, exposure, and a fresh start. This move allowed EBE bands to focus on his craft while benefiting from Awax's experiences and connections in the industry. Together, they created music that resonated with their shared vision, pushing boundaries and continuing to build on the momentum of EBE band's growing success. But in May of 2019, Awax would yet again lose another friend and fellow rapper when EBE bands would go missing in Chicago for days on end. This brought concern to EBE band's family, knowing it was unusual for bands to disappear without any notice of his well-being. After a week or so passing by, his concerned family would soon find out that bands had been set up by 3 men and beaten to death with a bat. The 3 individuals would burn band's body and leave him in some Chicago woods.
For nearly 3 weeks. Tonight we learn the body of 23-year-old William Pickering was found.
Rockford's chief of police gave us an update on the case. Cameron Jacobs was there, and Cameron, police say there's been more than one arrest.
That's right, Eric and Mimi. Right now, 2 men are in custody and at least 1 other is still wanted. Rockford Police Chief Dan O'Shea broke down how they found the victim.
During the course of the investigation, information was obtained that led officers to an undisclosed location in unincorporated Winnebago County, where the remains of William Pickering were located.
23-year-old William Pickering was reported in Rockford missing June 1st. Pickering was also known as Billy the Kid, a rapper out of Chicago. His manager had been posting missing signs across social media for the past few weeks. Rockford Police Chief Dan O'Shea says officers went to his house on Fisher Avenue near downtown, but Pickering never answered. His car was found nearby.
The investigation led detectives to the 5200 block of Indian Head Avenue, where a crime scene was located.
Nearly 3 weeks later, officers gathered enough information to find Pickering's body, but the chief would not say where. 2 men are in custody, Manuel Ramirez for concealing a homicidal death, and the state's attorney's office charged William Arzate with the murder.
A 3-count complaint has been authorized against William Arzate. Charges are as follows. Count 1 is first-degree murder, count 2 is first-degree murder, and count 3 is concealment of a homicidal death.
The department is also looking for others connected to the death, including 20-year-old Dakota Graff.
Some say it was over bands finessing him at one point, but that's just he say, she say.
But shockingly, for concealing the beaten then burnt body of EBE bands, Manuel Ramirez was sentenced to only 180 days in prison. Not months, days.
That's pretty trippy, nonetheless. A decision that sparked frustration and disbelief amongst those who knew EBE bands and followed his story. The authorities eventually caught up with the individuals responsible for the tragic events surrounding EBE bands. After a thorough investigation, the person who struck the fatal blow with a bat leading to band's death was apprehended and convicted.
Found guilty of killing a Rockford rapper, and he's on the run.
24-year-old William Arzate is one of 3 men charged in the death of William Pickering back in 2019. Pickering's remains were found in rural Winnebago County. Arzate didn't show up for his trial yesterday, but a jury still found him guilty. He's set to be sentenced in September. Dakota Graff pleaded guilty to first-degree murder earlier this year. Colton Kennecker is out on bond and due in court in August. If you know where Arzate is, call Rockford Police or Crime Stoppers.
The loss of GM EBE bands devastated Awax. Knowing that EBE bands had came from such a rough environment, it was on the rise to success musically. Another loss for Awax, but still the Pittsburgh, Seattle native rapper would carry on for his young homie, still pushing his legacy to this day. And just as Awax was continuing his path to success, another devastating blow came on March 10th, 2020, when he was charged with possession of a 100-round drum and a 30-round magazine and a pistol that wasn't his. And seriously, the pistol wasn't his, but he still took the charge. The firearm had been left behind by another individual who had visited Awax's studio, and it was this gun that the police discovered. And to make matters worse, authorities attempted to link Awax to a murder case that had occurred over 20 years ago. His lawyer quickly clarified that the case had no connection to Awax, asserting that the charges were completely unrelated to the rapper's life or actions. Awax vented his frustrations through his music in a song titled "Wanna Know."
Know that you're good at pretending, but no need to hide your agenda. We might not be good as a couple, that don't mean that we have to fuck over friendship. I hate when you get all defensive. I feel like you up on that fence with it. And if I went broke, you'd be gone in a second without no remorse or resentment. Tell me it's something that ain't I can handle the truth, I can't handle the secret. I know you be putting your spin on things, but you ain't get all that damage from me. I know I got issues with trusting.
But Deputy District Attorney Jen Tompkins dispelled the accusations of the murder being 20 years old and would actually state that it was from a recent murder in the prior years of 2020. Eventually, Awax would successfully defeat the false allegations of linking him to a recent murder. Although the weapons found at his studio were not his, he still had to serve a couple of years on house arrest due to the legal situation. The ongoing legal battle slowed him down, especially with the rise of the pandemic, but it couldn't stop the determination of the Pittsburgh, Seattle native rapper. Awax, the artist who rose from the streets to the music scene, continues to shape his career despite the many trials he's faced. His time on house arrest didn't slow him down at all. It became a period of creative growth and meaningful collaborations. During this time, he connected with some of the most influential voices in Northern California rap, including Sacramento rapper CML and Antioch OG Norteño Big Tone. Awax and Antioch OG Big Tone would also start their Two Sides of the Game podcast.
Like, they don't got Nordstrom or no tight shit Eniacs.
You can't even shop. Just in Washington in general, it's hard to shop. The actual, like finding a Louis Vuitton store or something, man, you gotta drive some miles.
They got them. They got them in Bellevue, right there by Seattle.
A podcast that celebrates Norteño rappers and rappers in general, from the Bay Area in LA all the way to Yakima, Washington, where Big Tone and Awax would recently perform earlier this year.
I know where I'm from. I come from the P, man. From Pittsburgh, man. California, man. You know, I fuck with Yakima so tough, man. In Washington and in general, Idaho. I fuck with all my friends in Colorado, man. Nobody, Cali people in the house, man.
The Two Sides of the Game podcast is actually very entertaining and insightful, well laced with game for artists to learn how to grow and build themselves in the music business. Awax and Big Tone would also speak on their upbringing with legendary Antioch OG Woody on the Two Sides of the Game podcast.
This is how much this man has changed our lives, and this is how much we respect to this man, and well, it'd be a shame not to keep it alive, you know what I'm saying?
In 2021, while Awax would be on house arrest, a classic West Coast rapper by the name of Gonzo, who put together projects with Awax in 2009, which I believe was called Recession Proof, and many other projects, who also had a track record of working with Tupac and the Outlaws, and even being named by Tupac, would be gunned down in Seattle, Washington.
Shooting in White Center that we have been talking about all morning. This happened about 8 last night near the Shell station right near Rocks Hill Park. Detectives say the suspect fled in a car, but no description yet for the car or the person. The victim taken to Harborview, where he later died.
It's reliable sources, Gonzo's cousin Lonnie, that speaks to him on a day-to-day. And so basically he was saying that Gonzo was out there and he was messing with a fatal attraction. He was trying to shake her. He didn't want to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? And she sent that. And he got into it with the guy and they shot him and took his backpack off. And then he ran, you know what I'm saying? He jumped out the truck and then they took this backpack off and then he ran to the gas station.
The clouds gone open and rain shells and clowns watch me throw my weight around. You too frail.
Rest in heaven, Gonzo. And you know, that situation hit me a little different because I remember just a few days before Gonzo lost his life in Seattle, I recorded a podcast that was titled The 5 Most Dangerous Areas Not to Visit in Seattle, Washington at that time. And one of those areas was the exact area that Gonzo lost his life, sadly. Crazy, man. Awax would reflect on his life experiences with his old buddy Gonzo, taking his loss of losing Gonzo as another life lesson, with being no stranger to losing friends to the streets and to gun violence. Awax's career, defined by its ups and downs, is a story of survival against the odds. Through his prison sentences, gang violence, and personal losses, and legal battles, Awax has remained steadfast in his pursuit of his music. His success didn't come overnight, but through years of hard work, self-discovery, and staying true to his roots, Awax has successfully succeeded at reaching his goal with his music career. Today, Awax is regarded as one of the most influential West Coast rappers, His music continues to inspire a new generation of artists, and his story stands as a testament to the power of resilience. Awax's ability to stay true to himself and his music despite the obstacles he's faced has cemented his place in hip-hop history. As each video he drops, almost all hit more than 1 million views.
What you got? What you got? What you got? What you got, boy?
Remove from the motherfucker, bro.
Get up.
Remove that bitch. Remove these ankle monitors, scram, GPS, remove. Court date. 5/25/21.
Motherfucker, we in motion. Finna be hit the road on they dog ass.
Yeah, get this money.
Yes, sir.
Back to the money route. You know what I'm talking about?
Awax's story highlights the old saying, hard work pays off. He's for sure will be one of the few of his many peers that he grew up with to live a life of longevity, most likely enjoying his fruits of his labor well into his old age, inspiring others until he's an old-ass man with gray hair and a cane.
Try to survive in the West City. Come sit, do